This is Charlie giving you Monday's market commentary. I hope you're very well. Sorry it's a little bit late out today. I wanted to cover off to start off with, before I go through the analysis, just a little section on fear in trading. I was talking to someone about it today, and it's so rife within trading, and it's not surprising because it's a natural instinct across in humans, but it's something which people need to get a handle of, otherwise they're never going to make money from trading. And the fear can govern our actions in that we end up taking our profits too soon, or we hesitate and don't take trades through fear of loss, fear of losing. But that fear of losing, which you'd think would be is a naturally protective mechanism, actually serves the opposite purpose in trading, because we're so fearful that we hesitate and don't take trades and miss out on opportunities. And also, if we get into trades and take our profits too soon, then it means that if we take another trade which is a loser, then the loser will eradicate the small profits we made on the gains. So it is a problem in trading for a lot of people, having that fear, and it's a case of having the right balance. You need to respect the markets, and so in that respect be fearful to an extent, but a fearful respect, or should we call it, or it's probably not the right word, but we certainly need to respect the markets, but we need to be able to take action when the time is right. And so if you're finding that you're hesitating or taking your profits too soon through fear of loss, then you need to try and address it, because you're never going to make any money otherwise. You'll carry on going either sideways in your account or down. And it's just simple things, just small tiny little measures that will make the difference. And those little measures can be having a more carefree type of attitude, which it's not slapdash, I'm not talking about that, but it's just having that same sort of attitude that sometimes you may have had when you've taken a trade and you just said, you know what, I'm just going to let this go. I haven't got the time to sit there and stare at this. I'm just going to get into it, put my levels in and let it go. Or sometimes it might be that you're sitting there watching it, but you've got a very relaxed attitude to it on that occasion, and we want to replicate that type of mentality where you're just allowing the trade to work itself out according to your strategy rules, whatever they may be. Trying to run it for either, whether it be 10 points, 20 points or 100 points, doesn't matter, whatever your strategy may be, you're trying to run it for that, and you're not overruling it too much. And the other thing you can do in order to try to embrace and encapsulate that mindset is to visualize. All professional sports people do it, and yet most people in other walks of life, other professions, don't. And yet it is so important. So visualizing at the beginning of your day, the beginning of your week, executing your trades flawlessly, so to speak. So it just takes a few minutes just to think through, okay, this is how I'm looking to trade today. This is the sort of action that I'm going to take. When I see a setup come along, this is how I'm going to manage it. This is how I'm going to manage my risk. These are all the things I'm going to do with this trade in order to let it do its thing. And if you have that, if you can embrace that sort of attitude and nurture that attitude, then you'll become a much better trader as a result. Anyway, that's 3 minutes in. Just did a short bit on that. Oh, but if anyone's got any fears and they do suffer with that in their trading, by all means email in to sam@easytrader.com, and we're happy to help if you want to email in. If you've got any personal experiences or problems, whatever, then by all means email in, because it could be on any aspect of trading. We'll always try and help you where we can. Right, okay. Now, as far as the markets are concerned, I want to start off with the US indices here, because as we can see, the Dow's had quite a nice pullback here. This is the daily charts, and it's actually just done a 38% retracement to here. And yet if we have a look at the S&P 500, the S&P has already retraced 50%. And then if we go and have a look at the NASDAQ is almost back up at its highs. So the Dow looks weak and looks like, oh, you could argue that the Dow, oh, maybe that's going to just roll over and go lower. And yet you look at the NASDAQ, which doesn't look that weak at all. So which way is the market going to go? We don't know at the moment, but I do suspect if the NASDAQ breaks out to new highs, then these other markets will eventually catch up with it. So watch that one. So watch the NASDAQ. That often leads. But if the NASDAQ doesn't, then it's likely we're going to see some more weakness come into these markets. they've hit some key fib levels today and as of Friday, so we could see some weakness coming in the coming days in these markets. But if the S&P can get above the daily 50, then it's certainly got a run up to this old trend line to at least give that a kiss, and then we'll take it from there. Let's have a look at some of the currencies, starting off with the euro, because I was obviously covering that on Friday. I do think if the euro can get to 137, then I think 137.50 will be seen. Likewise, I think if the euro comes down to 135.50, then we will see 134.50. So we shall see with this euro at the moment. It's in a little bit of no man's land. It's had a good run, and it's just a case of, well, which way do you want to go now? So we shall have to see. But and obviously I'm in a trade on the euro at the moment, but that's managed, and we'll just see what happens with that. Let's have a look at the dollar yen. Now the dollar yen has had a nice run. I wouldn't mind seeing 103. Because 103 is there's just a monthly pivot there, and it's also the bands on the monthly charts. But overall, so far, it's been coming down, so we've got to look for it to ultimately come down a bit lower. I'd quite like, on that monthly chart, quite like to see it come down to the lower bands at some point, which is below 100. So ultimately, I'd like to see it get below 100 down here, but whether it's going to come up a little bit first before coming over or not, I do not know. But I do see dollar yen getting to sub 100 at some point in the next month to 2 months. So it's just a case of where it holds up for a bit first, but I do think it is going to come down for that level. And the Aussie dollar, nice little consolidation here just over the last couple of days. It's holding up. I'd like to see a little bit of weakness come through on the Aussie, and then I can then prepare to get in on the long side. Oh, and lastly, gold. Now this isn't a live chart of gold because gold's up at 1270 something at the moment, but I still see gold coming up for the daily 200 moving average. So there's some decent moves around in the markets at the moment. This is interesting, the dollar index, because it came back up. It seems to have done a double top and rolling over again at the moment. Now if this dollar index is about to roll, then we should see the euro, the likes of the euro and pound go up, and then probably the dollar yen coming down. So watch that dollar index as well. I shall leave that with you. Have a great few days. Be back in touch on Friday.